All right, well, thank you. And thank all of you for coming out here today. Hope you guys are having fun. Anybody having a good time yet? Awesome. Well, really excited. First of all, just to be here. It's that fun time of year, as we've discussed before, because you start getting really pumped up about the season and what the possibilities are. A pleasure to have Marcus Semien here, kind of the foundation of what has been built in Arlington now this will be your 4th year here, which is hard to believe, man, that has happened quickly. And Jake Burger, who I think you guys are really gonna love. We're just getting to know Jake. I told him this last night in the first 5 seconds I met him. I don't know how else to say it, but when we saw him for the first time with Chicago, the White Sox, you hit a ground ball to the left side of the infield. And as routine as it gets, I was like, oh, he's going to be out by a mile. And right as I look over to first to complete the play, I mean, it was bang, bang. I was like, ooh, I like this guy. He plays hard. And then as we played on and on, he plays really hard. So I told him last night, like, I've got a baseball crush on you because I just love the way you get after it, man. And I thought it was funny that we get the two of you together up here because you guys both kind of have this similar, I don't want to overuse these terms, but like dog mentality when it comes to playing. So anyway, Jake Burger, you're going to love him. So Marcus, your 4th year, I said it's happened quickly. You signed the deal, a 7-year deal, and who knows where this is going to go, right? We're hopeful you're the first piece of that rebuild here, and then it happened quickly. But can you believe this is going to be year number 4 already?
You know what? I want to play a long, long time with this organization, so I feel like it's still the start. But yeah, first year we got here wasn't the year we wanted. The next year was the best year ever in my baseball life. So I want a lot more years like that.
Yeah, we'd all like a lot more years like that. And Jake, you're just kind of getting started in a way, right? This will be your 4th year in the big leagues or 5th?
On and off from 2021.
Yeah, because you got a cup of coffee in 21, and then a little bit more in 22. But you really established yourself 2023. Do you feel yet like, I got it, I understand everything, like this, we know how all this is working, or you still feel like there's some newness to things?
Absolutely not. I feel like you're always learning, and that's just part of the game, and that's why I'm so excited to be here. Is get to learn from this guy right here, and Corey, and there's a lot of veterans in this clubhouse that I can just retain as much information as I can, and keep learning.
You come to the Rangers from the Marlins, and you got traded to the Marlins from the Chicago White Sox. And it's funny because of the connection here, right? Can you kind of take us through those, I'd say a couple hours, but those couple days when the trade happened and then where that took you?
Yeah, I was really fired up to play here. I was with Chicago at the time. Had an off day here, enjoyed it, and get to the clubhouse, and they told me that I was being traded to Miami. So obviously packed up, went to Miami, played 2 games in a matter of 36 hours, and flew right back here and played the Rangers with Miami. So it was first home run with Miami was here, so there's a lot of interesting intertwined things here.
It's kind of cool. It's like you couldn't shake us or we couldn't shake you, so maybe it's appropriate that you're here. Marcus, how familiar are you with Jake's game? Because he's now, you guys are going to be side by each over there on that right side of the infield every day. You've got a new partner in crime over there.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Jake's game. I pay attention to all players in the league. So when I saw that our front office traded for Jake, I was very excited. I know we traded some good players to get Jake, but there's high expectations here. Us being on the right side will build that chemistry pretty quick, I think. just rep by rep, we'll understand, what balls I can get to, what balls he can get to, and try and take away every ground ball hit our way. In terms of Jake on offense, I've seen a powerful bat that still has a lot of room to get even better. So this is a great place to learn and become a great hitter. I know I've learned a lot since I got here, and such a great place to play, especially with the fan support we have.
Yeah. And you guys both share the common beginnings to your career, right? Both started in the White Sox organization. I don't know, slightly different times when that happened, but is there, when you begin your career with an organization like that, is that forever, I don't know, a big part of your identity at all? Is there something about that does tie you guys?
Yeah, I think so. I was drafted in 2011 by the White Sox out of college. Jake is 2017, so we did not cross paths, but we played for a lot of the same coaches. We played under the same minor league director. We played in the same ballparks. Dane Dunning's another guy who played in the White Sox organization, and we just kind of share stories about our upbringing as a minor league or a professional baseball player, and you just laugh about the past, some of the fun things we went through.
Interesting you mentioned Dane Dunning, right? Because you guys were pretty tight. You and Dane, tell us a little bit about the background of the two of you in the organization.
Yeah, we both got hurt around the same time with the White Sox, and you learn a lot about somebody when you're both rehabbing together. And he's one of my best friends. He's basically the uncle to my son, and he's a great dude, great pitcher, and a great dude off the field.
Yeah. You mentioned your son. You have a 2-year-old son, right? And then Penelope, your new daughter, and is she 2 months old?
Yeah, 2 months.
Okay, because I met her a little earlier today, and I thought, my goodness, she's still such a little one. And so you and your wife now with 2 kids, you get your hands full, and I know you're a man of faith, and Penelope was born with Down syndrome. And yesterday you made the big announcement. Number one, your new uniform number, and number 2, what you plan to do with that in the community. Can you elaborate a little for us?
Yeah, I chose number 21 for trisomy 21, which is Down syndrome. For me, it was about picking the number not for myself, but for my daughter and all those families out there that do have Down syndrome in their family. And we're called the lucky few, and we didn't really understand that until she was born. And the amount of people that have reached out, it's been incredible. And for my wife Ashlyn and I, we want to give back to that community and bring awareness to it, but also help as many families as we can out there. And can't go into too much specifics about what we're building, but it's going to help a lot of people out there.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Have you had a chance to talk to Jock yet? I talked to Jock a little this morning about this as well. His older brother Champ, and they're super tight. And Champ's really excited. He wants to be involved. And have you guys had those conversations yet?
Not too in depth, but I'm really fired up to meet Champ and build that relationship with him. And it's just crazy how God put us on the same team together, where we can talk to each other, and he can kind of show me the ropes.
Yeah. That's cool. This is not like it's your first foray into doing things in the community and using this platform, if you will, to make a difference. Several years ago, through social media, you reached out to a lot of people and made a big difference in your focus on mental health. And then you started a charity, Bombs, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Burger Bombs. It's a mental health initiative. During my injury, I tore my Achilles twice, and lost sight of myself, and dealt with depression. Got diagnosed with PTSD from the injury, and I wanted to help a lot of people out there because I knew what it felt like for myself and being alone, and I was given a platform to use for good. And, it's. A lot of people reached out to me when I tweeted about my injury, and I just want to help anybody I can. And that's another reason why I'm fired up here. Is Marcus helps so many people in the community that I can learn from him and how to get as much help as we can to people around the community.
I'm glad you said that, because that's where I was going to go with Marcus. First of all, you guys do so much great stuff off the field. I think it's just remarkable, because when I think of how difficult it is to do what you guys do, how much time you put in, how much mental energy and focus that takes, I'm always amazed at the time you guys take to help other people, to reach out and lend a hand to other people, bringing them along. I think it's remarkable. And Marcus, you were the 2024 Heart and Hustle Award recipient for the Rangers this last year. I believe it's the fifth time, at minimum the fifth time, that you've received that honor in your career, which I think is one of the truly great honors that they hand out. Where does this come from? Where does that ethic and that drive and everything come from? Who was it? Your dad, your folks? They instill that?
Yeah, I mean, my dream was always to be in this position, to be a major league player. But I always think about when I was a kid, and me being in the stand somewhere, back home, and finally getting a chance to come to a game and screaming my favorite player's name and asking for a ball and all the things that fans do, kids do. And now that I'm in this position, I always want to make sure I treat those fans how I wanted to be treated as a kid. I've been in baseball for a long time, right? Professional baseball since 2011, but I've been playing baseball my entire life, and I really do want to connect with young people as much as I can. Of course, adult fans as well, but those kids really mean a lot to me, especially now as a father. And that's definitely been one of my goals since I got here, was to connect with the community and connect with the youth, to teach them the game and just treat them well.
Interesting you mentioned, as a father, right? Because there is something about having children that changes the way you see the world and how you want to treat the world and that kind of thing. I mean, Penelope has inspired this most recent effort for you. You and Tara have 4 kids, including Amelie, who's now, is Amelie like, she's not quite 2, right?
Amelie was born during our playoff run in 2023, right after we beat Baltimore here. So she is 15 months now.
15 months. Man, and you have 3 boys, and you coach. In fact, you had games today?
Yeah, I had a couple games today. I didn't coach today because I wanted to get here as quick as I could, so I was able to watch my sons play.
But you coach baseball and basketball so far. You got other sports you're going to get involved with?
Yeah, baseball and basketball is what we're doing now. That's what I played as a kid. I know this is a big football state. Our kids are younger right now, but for now it's baseball and basketball. Maybe golf, so that I can have some golf buddies at some point. But we'll see what happens.
How do you do the coaching of the sports when they're like 8 and stuff? I once got pulled in randomly got pulled into I think it was a T-ball game, and they just needed another body, right? Somebody to watch, I think, the dugout. And so the kids were, it's 6 years old, something like that. I'm like, well, I can do that. And I'm telling you, within 15 minutes, I needed to get out of that dugout. Like, that's hard. They're insane.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep them focused and actually learning?
I mean, what I've learned is that practice is a lot harder than the games. You get to a first grade practice after a long day of school, the attention to detail may not be there, but something about the games, something just opens up for the kids. Something clicks. My style is to let their athleticism kind of help them learn the game. Obviously, the rules are to be taught by the coaches, but we need to figure things out on our own sometimes as a young player. So that's what I try and do.
All right. Well, let's talk about the game a little bit and this team and where it's going to go. A big part of this year's success is going to be obviously the improved lineup. It seems that this lineup is in a position where it could do some pretty special stuff. Defensively, the premier defensive second baseman in the game. A little bit new to first base. You've done some. So tell me a little bit about that process. How's that going? What does that involve for you?
Yeah, it's going well. Played the majority of the last 2 months last season over there, and got really comfortable with it. Obviously, like I said, there's always room for improvement and always stuff to learn. And I'm really excited to get with Rags out there. And Pipe came over from Miami as the bench coach, and we got some stuff to work on too that he's seen me for the last year and a half, and so I'm just excited to get out there and get going, and see where I can improve over there.
Played a lot of third base. It seemed like that might have been the primary position. You played at Missouri State. Was that your position in college too?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So moving over to first, when I was a kid, I think the thought was always like if you played in the outfield, they were just trying to hide you. And then they would sometimes play me at first base to try and hide me there. But the reality is, like, that's a pretty vital spot. You're handling a lot of plays that could turn a game one way or the other. Do you like first base?
Yeah, I love it. You have to be dialed in all the time, no matter what, and you almost have to think 2 plays ahead of where you need to be at. So that's why I like it over there. And it's obviously a learning curve, and the footwork around the base, being in the best position for the guys throwing the ball across the diamond. But, I feel good with that. And it took a couple games in spring a couple years ago to kind of learn, hey, like, guy on second base it up the middle. You got to be the cutoff behind the mound. And you kind of forget that at third base. It's pretty routine over there. So, it's fun because your mind's always going. You're always, knowing the base runners, knowing you have to know your pitchers really well with their pickoffs, what their ball does. Same with the guys on the infield. How the throws look. Some guys sink it, some guys cut it, some guys throw a carry four seam. So it's a lot of reps and getting with your guys, throwing with other infielders to kind of see their arm action and know where a ball might end up.
I know you're not trying to take anybody's job, but I did see, looking through your numbers, that you played a little second base at one point as well with the White Sox. He doesn't take a lot of days off, man. How did that come to be? What were you doing? Did you miss the directions and just end up at second? How'd that happen?
Yeah, I played. I have 4 big league games over there.
Yeah.
I like to tell everybody that because I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, it was against Cleveland and it was against the Cubs. So it was the cross city rivalry and an in division rival. And yeah, they were trying to find a place for my bat. At the time, Yohan Moncada was at third, Eloy Jimenez was DHing, so they were kind of trying to find where to play me. And there was an opening at second base, and I got to work out there for a month. And Tony La Russa was my manager at the time. Finally felt comfortable to slot me in there, and then got traded a week later. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
They were trying to trade you. They were like, look, he can play second, so take it.
Wow. Well, it's good to have a little depth. Marcus, last year on 159 starts at second base. So again, the year before 162 starts and then the postseason. So not a lot of chances there, Jake.
I'm good.
Keep taking the reps, man. You play every day, right? I mean, that's just the bottom line. You play every day. You despise the notion of taking a day off. I gotta believe there are days where maybe you come to work and you think, I'm a little tired. Right? Does that ever cross your mind, or is that ever a thing where you're like, I'm just dog tired today?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be tired. We should be playing hard, right? The harder you play, some days you feel it, but I think that, the way I came up, like we talk about the White Sox days, you play every day unless you physically cannot. And, my MO has been, hey, he plays every day, but I want to play well every day too. I think that you can get on these hot streaks where you find a rhythm because you play every day. And I know people talk about, well, you need to take a day off. That could be one day you lose rhythm in my mind too. This game is tricky like that. Rhythm is everything. I definitely want to make sure that I'm in the best shape I can be in the offseason to be prepared to play every single game and every game of the postseason. And definitely was fortunate enough to do that in 2023. I've had a lot of years where my body has just felt great every day. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the last 6 full seasons, right? So taking out 2020, the last 6 full seasons, you've played a minimum of 159 games in each of those seasons, which is remarkable, and nobody else in baseball can make that claim. You mentioned timing, rhythm, right, that type of thing. When you have had to take a day off, and you come back then the next day, do you feel like, I don't know, a little out of sync?
I mean, I think it was, you said the 159, so those years were for paternity leave too, so it wasn't like real days off, just to throw that out there. But yeah, last year, took a couple of days off. You sit and watch, it slows you definitely slow the game down by watching and just seeing, okay, that's what we look like out there. I found myself in the cage a little bit more anyway, just trying to be prepared just in case I came in to pinch hit, because I do believe that if you aren't playing, you still need to be ready to help the team win in some way.
Which is an interesting kind of philosophical thing, right, that some guys have had. And I know Bochy has talked about this. Maybe you guys have even had this conversation where back in the day he would give Barry Bonds a day off. And then, of course, if you have somebody like Barry Bonds on your bench, it's late in the game, close, you would be tempted, you would want to use him. And I think Barry one day told him, like, if you're going to give me a day off, let's make it a day off. I want to have the mental break, but you don't want that.
I don't know. I mean, if we're not in first place, I want to play every day. I think there's teams that are, have the benefit of being 10 games up in the division. I hope we are. Then you rest your guys. But if we're chasing somebody, let's play our best guys. That's what I think.
Yeah. Last night the question was posed to Chris Young and to Bruce Bochy. What are you most excited about in 2025? Because it is a new lineup, and it's hard not to be really excited to see what that's going to look like. Jacob deGrom's going to be back and fully healthy for the year. There are a lot of different things that could be on that list, but if you had to name one thing, I don't know, Jacob, you want to go first? What kind of excites you most about this season?
Playing in the stadium in front of these fans, and it's the similar mentality from everybody in that clubhouse. I've had the chance over the last few days to meet everybody, and it seems like everybody has the same goal in mind, and we're working towards the same thing. And so it feels really good to be in a clubhouse like that, and I'm just excited to go out there and play hard and win ball games.
Right on.
For me, I love the game. I love playing the game. I love the process of game day. We get here early, get our work done, spend a lot of time together as a group, and we get to BP. And then it's game time, and that entire day is what I live for, and it's been the same for me every single year.
Yeah. Okay, so when we talk about goals, if you will, individually, I don't know how much you want to divulge on that. I don't know how you feel about that sort of thing. But like in your case, Jake, I was looking back at your numbers, and by the way, he hits a ton of home runs. For those of you who are not as familiar with Jake's game, he's got big-time power. 34 home runs a couple years ago. Last year was at 29 home runs. It's a big ballpark, too, down there in Miami. One thing I noticed was your strikeout rate, year by year by year, every single year, has gone down like in the neighborhood of 5% each year. So is that like a conscious thing? Is that something that you work on to some degree to try and reduce that year by year?
Yeah, I think you're always looking to make more contact. But yeah, I think that's part of what this game is, right? You're always learning pitchers' tendencies, and Getting into scouting reports, digging in a little deeper, and kind of knowing how to scout. But yeah, it's definitely ticked down. And for me, I feel like if I can, put the bat on the ball as many times as possible, good results are going to happen. And that's kind of what I've been working towards. And not letting myself try and hit a eight-run home run. It's just make contact and be smooth, and good things will happen.
Okay, so as far as goals go, and you and I had a little conversation about this last night, I heard a radio interview where the number 50 was thrown out, but you're saying that was not so much something that you decided, but your wife, Ashlyn, has put a goal for you of 50 home runs.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hit 50 home runs. If it doesn't happen, 49's great. But, that's my wife's benchmark, and she'll be upset with anything less. So, we got some work to do, but we'll see what happens.
Hey, listen, what Mama wants, Mama gets. Marcus, for you, is it as simple as, posting every day? Are there numbers that you try to hit? What is it for you?
I mean, definitely. 162, 100 runs scored, 100 RBIs. And less than 10 errors on defense. And if I can do that, I hope that we do well as a team, for sure.
Well, we'll take that right now, right? I mean, we'll put it right now. 6 straight years for you with at least 20 home runs in a year. Now, as a middle infielder, that hasn't historically been the thing that you have to get from your middle infielder. But you have really good power and out of that leadoff spot, right? Which can be a huge weapon. You mentioned Tony La Russa earlier. You got to play for him at the beginning of your career. He liked having pop up at the top like that. You grew up in the Bay Area in the shadows of the Coliseum and Ricky Henderson and the power that he had out of that leadoff spot. Was that something that you always shot for? Was not just being a leadoff guy who's dependable in these ways, but having the power out of that spot?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's one of the best feelings in the game to be able to hit a ball over the fence and jog around the bases. My power has developed over the years. I think in college I didn't hit very many. Got to a full season in the minor leagues and they started to come. I need 700 at bats to hit my home runs, so I'm not like Corey where he can do it in half of them. But the more I play, the more I get comfortable. You barrel the ball up in the air to the pull side, and it's gone. So, that's something that I always want to have in my game. I think that's where the league is heading. When you look at trends with all teams, they want you to hit for power. It's a quick way to score some runs, and I think the fans like home runs a little bit. So, that's always going to be something I'm trying to do.
I mentioned the 6 years with at least 20 home runs for middle infielders in the modern era since 1901. There have been fewer than 20 who can make that claim. CY last night said that you are one of the greatest second basemen all time. Defensively, your numbers might be right there at the top. Last year again led the American League, not second baseman, but the American League with 19 outs above average. How much work do you put into the defensive side of it?
Yeah, I mean, I take ground balls every day. I'm excited to work over there with Burger and just find a routine that works for us. Routine is everything to me. I've had struggles defensively as a young player, and it took me time to find a routine that made me feel comfortable once it was game time. Once your gameplay feels like your work, that's when you know you've done something. So it's definitely taken some years, but repetition every single day is the way I do it, and I'm going to continue that until I can't anymore.
I love it. Repetition, consistency. You've gone 3 straight years in the big leagues. 3 straight years where you've hit 250, 250, and 250. If you could do it again this year, you'd pull the Chris Davis, who went 247, 247, 247, 247. Are you aware of that 250 thing?
Yeah, but I want to be a lot higher than that this year.
You're tired of 250. That's enough.
Yeah, I'm not gonna salvage the last 2 weeks to try and drop it back down to 250.
You have no sense for the aesthetic, man. You grew up in St. Louis, and I did myself the disservice today of kind of backdating your life a little bit, and I was like, wow, 14, 15 years old, that probably would have been right around, I don't know, 2011. What do you remember from that year? Were you a Cardinals fan?
I don't know if I want to talk about
So,
this.
I mean, is this wrong to put you in this spot?
Yeah, very
Don't do
wrong.
that.
Get used to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if I should bring this up. I was at Game 6 of that World Series.
Just stay for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Tell me you didn't leave early.
No, I didn't leave early.
Okay.
It was an unbelievable game, and Hamilton hit that 2-run home run in the 10th. So that's what I remember about it.
That's good. Well done. A favorite player growing up?
Yeah. I'd say Paul Konerko is probably my favorite. He was with the White Sox. I was kind of more of a White Sox fan than a Cardinals fan. But yeah, Konerko, Scott Rowland, actually grew up really close, same town as my dad in Southern Indiana. So he was always an idol, and Scott Rowland was one of those guys that played every single day and had a good routine, and was out there playing his what off. And so I've always looked up to those type of guys, and that's why I'm excited to be in a clubhouse with this guy right here.
Yeah. Let's talk about Bruce Bochy real quick. Marcus, you've had a chance now to play for him for a couple of years. What's it like playing for somebody like Bochy?
Bochy is a Hall of Famer. It's not too often you get to say you get to play for a Hall of Famer, win a World Series with him. I grew up in the Bay Area while he was managing the Giants, so I got to see his greatness there. Went to a lot of games, as a teenager watching his, and college student watching those teams. And now to be a part of one of those teams, you see why he's had so much success. His attention to detail, his preparation before the games. He's in his office at 11 a.m. for a 7 o'clock game, going through every single scenario that may happen in the game. And when it happens, he's ready. You have to have a manager who's ready to make decisions right away. Whether it's good or bad, he's sticking to his guns. He's got Mike Maddox right by his side to make sure that every pitcher is ready to go. And I like that style of coaching staff for us. Even though last year wasn't the year we wanted to have, I think we're well equipped with our coaching staff to prepare us every single day. So, I'm looking forward to this year with those guys.
What would you say when people say that when you see him on the bench watching the game, he's got this incredible calm exterior, right? No matter how bad a stretch we may be going through at times. And we went through a rough stretch in 23 before getting to the postseason. Had a couple of stretches last year that were a little bumpy, but you never see it. You get a different view, right? So when you hear people say like, man, he is just such a super calm, laid-back manager, I mean, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I think that he definitely is very calm, unless there's something that is just not right, and he'll let us know. We have to talk every once in a while after the game, bring some things up, get the group back together, let's do it. I'd rather have it that way than a manager not saying anything and then, we don't improve. So, I do recall a couple times in 2023, the year we won the championship, where we had to get things back on track and realize what we're playing for. We all have aspiring goals to, make money in this game, whatever, different goals that aren't related to the team. But let's play for the team first, and all those other things will take care of themselves. And, as long as we're all pulling on the same string, we have a better chance to win a ring than not. So that's a lot of what his message is, and we've all bought in, and I'm looking forward to hearing what new messages he has this spring, too.
Yeah. He keeps it pretty simple. But he simmers in there. The competitive edge there is real. It hasn't dissipated at all. Jake, I'm excited for you because you started your career playing for the only manager who had already been inducted into the Hall of Fame and then came back out of retirement to manage. So you legitimately have already played for a Hall of Fame manager. Bochy retired, but not long enough to get the Hall of Fame honors. He will get them. But you're playing for two iconic managers at the very nascent stages of your career. What's that feel like? Are you able to process that, kind of how awesome that is?
Yeah, it's surreal. Not many guys get that opportunity, and it's just retaining as much information because everything that comes out of Tony's mouth was words of wisdom, and I'm sure Boch is the same way. I'm really excited, and it'll be really interesting to kind of see the managerial styles, like kind of how they translate, and like if they match up. It's like that's how you get a Hall of Fame manager right there, and so. I'm excited to learn from him and get to the nitty gritty in spring.
And you live not far from Boch, right? And did you guys? I read somewhere maybe you guys got together, played a little golf after the trade.
Yeah, we went out with Corey. Boch was not a fan of my golf game because he was helping me look for balls in all the trees. But I think that'll probably be the last time we're out there together.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. How's his game?
It's good. And he tricked me because we walked into the pro shop together, and he's like, Jake, how's your game? And I'm like, not good. And he's like, me neither. And then he stripes the first one middle of the fairway, first hole, and I'm like, you're sandbagging me a little bit.
Yeah, that's a shame, man. Other sports, like if you guys were not playing baseball, I think you're great athletes. To be at this level, you have to be just a tremendous athlete. So if you were not playing baseball, Marcus, what would it be?
I'm not tall enough to be in the NBA, but I sure would try. That's the sport I love to watch when I'm not watching baseball. I never played football, but I really do love the sport of basketball.
That's interesting because your dad was a great wide receiver at Cal, but you never played football?
No, my dad actually told me don't play football because he wishes he would have stuck with baseball. And I said, well, I got you, Dad. I'm playing. So he said stay away from football because he was a receiver and the quarterback's not always going to see you. But if you have a bat in your hand, you control your own destiny. So
interesting. And Jake, you're a hockey guy, right? What's like pretty decent hockey?
Yeah.
You'll have to excuse me. I know what the goalie does. And then I know the other guys just skate around really fast and shoot the puck. What were you?
I played right wing. I love hockey. So fun.
Wow. So pretty fast skater?
Yeah, I would say so. Oddly deceiving on the field with how fast I run down the line. I think it's the same thing with hockey. And but yeah, I loved playing it. Obviously, love baseball more, but it's one of those sports that's so fast-paced and quick bursts, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of hand-eye coordination involved. You really got to know, and it's a lot of awareness of like knowing what's going to happen. I think that helps me in baseball a lot too.
And was there any consideration on your part of taking that further? Did you enjoy that more than baseball when you were little, or how did that little wrestling match in your own mind go?
Yeah, there were. I forget when it was, maybe 14 or 15 years old. My dad and I kind of had a conversation. He's like, you got to pick now. It's kind of getting to that point where if you're playing hockey, there's all these schools up in Minnesota and Wisconsin that guys go up for high school and they got to start playing up there, and or it's baseball, and ultimately chose baseball, and it's one of those things that I feel like I made the right choice, but yeah, it's definitely a part of my life.
Okay. As we get really close now to the start of spring training, report dates I don't even know if it's a full 4 weeks away yet. I think might be inside of that. Any last second tune-ups that you feel like you have to do for yourself, or is it just show up healthy and be ready to go? What are you working on?
Well, we're always working on our swings, right? but you want to make sure you're ready for game action. That means your body needs to be in shape. You really can't simulate this thing any other way than playing the game. But just getting out there and making sure we have a full day of work, because right now we pretty much have a half day of work and then we don't play games and we go home, right? So you get your body used to that long day. You get in good shape, and you also understand that getting ready for spring training is not the end goal. Being ready for the World Series is the end goal. So no matter how your swing feels when you get there, you want it to be at its peak when we're in the playoff race.
Yeah. What about it, Jake?
Yeah, just stick to the routine. Feel like I've had a good off season in terms of routine, and just excited to kind of start that routine here in Texas. Well, in Arizona first, and stay the course. And for me, it's getting out there, getting as many reps as possible, and keep playing hard.
What time? Some guys are super early arrivals every day at spring training. What's your typical arrival time?
6:45 in the morning, arrival, 7 a.m. in the weight room.
Yeah, okay. Jake?
Yeah, it's around that. Get there early and get to business.
Man, yeah. I once had a general manager tell me several weeks before spring training about this time of year that he goes outside this time of year and stands around on his front yard just kind of watering stuff and whatnot, trying to get that, build up that standing stamina that you have to do. Because, right, that's a lot of at the end of the day, man, I'm beat. I've been standing up for 7 hours, right? It seems like a lot of spring training is just learning how to be back up on your feet all day long.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I remember when I first got drafted, we'd be out there shagging BP all day. And then you said, oh, why don't the pitchers do it? Now it's like one coach shagging. So they're taking care of us a little bit more. But, we try and be as efficient as we can to make sure that we're not on our feet all day and make sure that we're fresh for the season. But I feel bad for the coaches sometimes.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, really enjoyed the visit. Super excited for this 2025 season. Jake, welcome aboard. Marcus, thanks for laying the foundation and expectations here. Jake Burger, Marcus Semien.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.